Welcome back to this show, whatever the show is going to become with me, CL. But today I'm thinking about value. I'm thinking about a woman's value, the value of human beings as we age, the value of me being me redefining value for myself, figuring out what value looks like separate from what society says, or separate from what our parents think, or separate from what our friends, whatever it is. But value it honestly has been like something that I've been pondering and working through and reflecting on over the past year and a half. And a year and a half ago, my dad had a major heart attack. He's miraculously okay. He was in hospice for 6 months. I was his primary caregiver. It was a really difficult time. Actually, it's been a really difficult, probably year and a half on the family front. But it also sort of, there's in those moments of sort of the caregiving and just sort of facing relationship with parents in a different way and seeing my childhood differently, it's had me truly reevaluate what value is and what worth is, and how I've defined my value and how I've seen my worth. And I think that compounded with me hitting my 40s and realizing in a very palpable way, not even realizing, experiencing that if I were to just use what society says a woman is valuable for, or what makes her worthy, I've thoroughly outgrown all of those measures. So if we think about as a girl, right, we're supposed to be passive, and we're supposed to be demure, and we're supposed to not ask questions, and we're supposed to just acquiesce. We're supposed to be quiet. I outgrew all of those a long time ago. Those are just not me. Now, if I also think about a woman's worth being attractive, yes, need to look good for the man in this patriarchal society, again, stereotypically so. But there's an attractiveness level, right? So I'm worthy as long as I look good. But looking good and being attractive, at least here in the United States, and I know several of the cultures that I know, Filipino culture, European cultures, also includes being young, also includes being thin. Y'all, I have, again, outgrown all of those. So now that I am older and more luscious and loud and outspoken, and I do life my way, and I question, I did have moments over the past year where I was like, okay, do I get to say this here? But it was like, do I even get to walk outside? And does anybody see me as valuable? I even had a moment when this was before a semester that I was teaching. So I was about to teach class, and I legit asked my husband. Now, I knew in my brain that logically it didn't make sense, but I feel like I needed to hear him say it. But the question was, honey, do you think that if I was thinner, the students would value and respect me more? Right. And it was interesting to see his face. I think that's what I needed to see, because the two concepts together, right? He was trying to draw it, he never thought of those two things together. And yet for me, it's been so ingrained, right? Being thin, at least in my family, in my side, whatever, growing up in the 90s, whatever you all want to say, being thin. Whew. I just get to make eyes at y'all and know that y'all understand. In any case, so it's been sort of a roller coaster, this thing called worth and value. However, I am now at a place, which is actually a really amazing place, to recognize that for myself, if I just use the things that mattered to me growing up, use myself as my own barometer, I have far exceeded any goals and like measures of worth that I ever thought possible, right? Like if I use myself as a barometer to measure my worth, I did it. I did it. And like simultaneously, because I am teaching, the students have sort of mirrored back to me just how valuable I am with me just being me. Me showing up as me somehow is the value. It comes out. The words that come out are people like, students or people, just people in life, people online too. Just, I love your energy, right? I hear that probably the most is some compliment related to my energy or the light, that I'm a light, or that they feel calmer, that they feel that they can be themselves around me, or that they feel cared for, that they feel loved. Y'all, these are things that are important to me. These are ways that I want to be in the world. And so when I hear those mirrored back, I just am so grateful. And I'm really actually very grateful too for the timing, because these things coincided. The things that I have found important in my life and that I have wanted to lean into, to notice now that they are actually valuable in a different way, and to be able to hear it, because people have been telling this to me for 25 years, and it's been so hard for me to believe and receive for a variety of reasons. And now I'm starting to believe it. And I keep thinking of the compounding interest curve. Like, thinking my value is compounding now. Even if we go to I'm on like whatever parts of the reels of the socials where we're talking about menopausal women and how women, right, we go through this menopause for a reason and men do not. And perhaps there's some wisdom there. Not only perhaps, but there's some wisdom. So I was just like, oh, wait, hold up. As I age, my value gets to compound now. Hold up. This analogy is amazing, because doesn't compound interest, okay, I haven't gone to this graph in a long time, but doesn't compound interest at like 20 years, it starts to like come up, but isn't it at 40, around 40 that it starts to shoot up and there's like major growth? Yo. So it only makes sense that now I'm in my 40s and I'm about to compound interest. So whatever those things are, right? When people are like, it sucks aging and aging is gross and that people become obsolete when we age and whatever those fears are, I'm here to say, I want to just lean into compounding interest. We get to compound our value as we get older as a possibility. I'm not saying everybody does this, yes, but we get to. So I'm leaning in to that. Oh, I sort of love that. Now I have to go back to the graph and see if it was around 40. Y'all can check for me. So y'all, if you're there, check for me. I do think it's around 40 years where all of a sudden it goes up. All right, let's do that. But I do want to talk about value again. Wait, here I am repeating myself. But I do want to go into the barometers, and I'm making it sound all weirdo. Let me start again. Do. And am I going to edit this out? Probably not, because the editing process takes a long, long time. And if I want to do this more and more often, I think we got to go unedited. So here's the unedited version. Okay, so here's actually why this week I've been thinking about value again so much. It's because, oh God, look, I'm going to get teary-eyed on this thing. And y'all are like, we don't even know why we're getting teary-eyed yet. But I went to an Ed Sheeran concert with my youngest son this past weekend, and it was in a big stadium. So it was at Empower Field in Denver. And I don't know, 50,000. One artist said there was 50,000 people. Another artist said that there was 70,000 people. I don't know. It was between 50 and 70,000 people. Now, why does this matter? Let me go back in time. So over this past year and a half, this was probably 6 months ago. About 6 months ago, I found a folder that had the surveys at the end of class. So, and they were written out. So this was from my first semester or two teaching. So 25 years ago. And I opened it up, and some of the words that the students said 25 years ago are very similar to what I'm hearing today, which again was the care in the classroom, the listening, the inspiring talks, being able to be themselves, all of these sort of really what they would deem as positive values or positive aspects of the class. And I was like, hold up, it's been this whole time. 25 years I've been doing this. And then I started to think of, y'all, I also like evidence, like evidential support. And I keep trying to find evidence of my impact out there in the world. And I was like, hold on, let me actually calculate how many people I've actually impacted in the classroom, in keynotes, whatever that looks like, running schools. I ran schools for a long time. So I just started to calculate, like do a rough calculation. And I forgot the numbers, but it was, like around 10,000 or I don't know, 8,000 something. And these are students, again, who I guess it was even bigger than that, more than that. Anyways, it was in the thousands, multiple thousands of students where I knew their names, or just humans, right? Humans, I knew their names, I knew their personalities, I knew what they wanted, I knew their goals, like actual relationships with humans. Let's just say it was like close to 10,000. Okay. Now, in that same day, two things happened. I know. See, things I don't want to I was like, all right, this was meant to be for me to calculate these things. One is I remembered a student who also became a coaching client. And it was over Zoom. He was like, Seal, I just really need you to hear this. I know that you struggle. You don't take compliments and you don't take this very seriously, but I need you to hear me now. My life is forever changed because you were in it. Right? Like my life, the trajectory of my life is fundamentally different, will never be the same because you have been in it. You transformed that. I think he used the word transform. And he goes, but here's really and he's like, I know I've told you this before, but here's what I really need you to hear. The life of my family is now fundamentally different. Right? He was able to create the business that he wanted, to create the money that he wanted, to open up another business, which then opened avenues for his parents to have a business where they're now hiring his cousins. And he's like, and we have a home that everybody is safe in. He was like, my extended family now has a life that is vastly different because you were in it. See, it's still hard, but so I just was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how, like, the ripple effects, right? We don't act in a vacuum is the word I was trying to say, is we don't live in a vacuum. So if people are impacted, then of course it does. It could have a ripple effect. So then I started to multiply. So I was like, well, let's just say that this amount of people, like a percentage, it impacts their family. Let me multiply that by 3 or by 4 or by 5. So then now I'm like in the tens of thousands. I was like, hold up. Okay. And then that same day again, I received a message from a previous student. He must have been my student like right before COVID, maybe COVID, so 6 or 7 years ago. And he reached out and he was telling me a story about teaching. And he says, I know you never thought that, we never talked about teaching, but I'm now teaching. And he said that he was standing in the classroom and he instantly felt grateful for me because the students were sharing in a way. This was the story that he was telling, that the students were sharing in a way where they were being very vulnerable and being very honest. And he was able to be that with them too. And he said that he realized that the only reason that he knew that he could become that kind of teacher was because he had me as a teacher. And so then I just started thinking about all of the teachers that I have taught. And I used to teach a lot in the education departments and a lot of education students. And so it's been such a privilege to be able to still be in contact with many of them and see them in their classrooms or see sort of where they go with their educational careers. And so I was like, hold up, now, if I actually think about that kind of ripple effect, now I can multiply that by however many students. And so in those calculations, in that whatever morning I was doing, I now started to calculate and I now started to think of stadiums. This will bring me back to Ed Sheeran, I promise. And I was thinking of, well, now I'm filling stadiums full of people who have positively been impacted by me. And when I say positively impacted, it's their words. Yes, like it's sort of like allyship. I don't get to say I'm an ally unless other people actually tell me that I'm an ally and I feel like one. So that's my feeling, is like from their words, y'all. And I have to remember, I even have on my computer, it's there, and on my phone, is I keep them. So I have this document right now. I think it's like 57 pages of just comments. It's like why I teach document 2. It's right there. So when I struggle to be like, am I showing up again today? Does this really matter? Do I matter? Because you know what? I'm a little more luscious than I was when I was freaking 12, which is normal. I can go to those documents and I can see the impact or what they say has been beneficial or what they've appreciated or how I've made them feel or whatever, right? Like when they're around me. And so I get to see all of those. So I was just thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, stadiums full. Not stadium, maybe stadiums. I was just thinking of a stadium, but I guess I could go into stadiums depending on the ripple effect. But I was just thinking of one stadium. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I'm filling a stadium full of people that I've impacted over the past 25 years because of what I have committed to, what I have done. And here, there's 2 things that came to mind at that moment. One was, I can only have made that impact because of time, because I have been in this world of coaching and teaching for 25 years. I've been able to make that impact. It took time, right, to be able to build that. And the other thing that came to mind was Metallica and Taylor Swift, because as Metallica and Taylor Swift taught us, is stadiums full of people singing and dancing together causes earthquakes, causes seismic shifts. So for me, who likes evidential support, now I'm like, oh, perhaps this matters. And so fast forward to the Ed Sheeran concert that just happened a couple days ago, and I'm there with my 12-year-old, and there's a moment where Ed Sheeran tells the whole stadium. He's like, I know this is going to sound silly. I don't know how his words were. But during the chorus, everybody jump. Everybody jump. It's amazing what can happen when 50,000 people jump together. And we jumped. And the whole stadium shook. And the energy was amazing. And it was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, my son's like smiling big. I'm freaking crying. Well, teary, a little teary-eyed. And it was like, holy shit. Do I get to say that here? Holy schmolies. Holy schmolies. I experienced in real time what it feels like for 50,000 people to be singing and jumping and dancing together. And that when I looked out on the crowd, I'm like, that could be the ripple effect of my value in the world. I'm okay with that. And guess what? Nobody can take that away. Nobody can take that away. It's already been done. It's already been done. It's already been done. So then, of course, now my process is, wait, like, it sort of feels like my purpose has been completed. Like, goal, check. Because there's several of them that have come up. Again, if I think of myself in childhood, now when I thought of goals or values back then, they came more as a question, like a what if. So I do remember I grew up around a lot of adults whom I loved and I cared for, but I didn't grow up around a lot of adults whom I respected. The reason is we just had different value systems. How many times can I say value in a video or in a recording? But I just had I knew that I had different perspectives, even as a kid, even as a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old. Like, I knew that what I found to be important, the adults around me did not, or I didn't agree with their choices in life, the way that they treated people. There was always that like a separation of questioning. And as a kid, I wondered, is it possible for me to be an adult where I lived on my own terms? Where, oh my gosh, saying that out loud actually leads to like what I actually do, what I care about as this purpose of like, just supporting young adults and living lives that are on your terms and that light you up. It is possible. But as a kid, of course, those weren't words. But I was like, is it possible for me to actually just adult in a way that I would respect? Could I look myself in the mirror? Can I do it my way? Can I adult my way and not their way? And if I fast forward to now, my answer is yes. Right? I wondered at 21. Well, I did a video on this already, but I was like, I wondered at 21, is it possible to just be me, all aspects of me, at all times with all people, and not mask up or not compartmentalize myself? Do I get to just be me out loud? Because me out loud is loud. Can I do that? And the answer is yes. And that with my friends and that with y'all. I get to be that in a classroom. I get to be that on a stage. Like, I get to do this. And has it taken time to get to this point? Yes. But it's like, oh, I actually do. Yes. Okay. I know what that's like. Not only do we get to adult the way that we want to, like on our own terms, in ways that we respect and that we can look at ourselves in the mirror and feel really proud. I get to be me out loud. And then if I'm thinking about sort of this career and impact and how much that has sort of meant to me and sort of led at least the career part of teaching and running schools and coaching and all of that, it's like, oh, I've made quite a bit of an impact already. Check, goal complete. So now what? Now it feels a bit like everything else is bonus, which is honestly where I'm at right now. I do have a student. I haven't answered him back because I'm still thinking about this. So this is this semester. So this semester, a student at the beginning of the semester asked me, how many times can I say semester in a row, what my goals are. And it's an interesting thing because I've met my goals. Like the big life goals, how I want my life to feel, the pace of my days, how I want to be living as an adult. The relationship is beyond, like the relationship with my partner. It's like, it's beyond what I ever thought could be possible. And so there's so many, again, if I think of the measures, the things that have mattered to me and use myself as my own barometer, I've reached those goals. And so now I sort of feel like I'm in an in-between where what's next, in that I'm curious, right? I want to build whatever's next as a bonus. I want to lean into enjoying what I have achieved already and accomplished, which last summer, no way. Actually, my therapist, I remember this because my therapist asked me. So my therapist was like, Ciel, when are you ever going to enjoy what you've accomplished? And I remember just being like, so sorry. Excuse me. I felt so called out because I didn't even know how that would be possible. Because me, it was always like not enoughness, right? Whatever this pattern is, it's like, not enough yet. I have to keep building. I have to do more. I don't see my value. I must not be valuable yet. All of that. And then now, just a year later, it's amazing how things have shifted. I can see my value. I am starting to, I want to lean into enjoying more and more what I've accomplished, and also realizing that I ain't done yet. I'm not done yet. But now I want to create in a different way. I want it to feel nourishing to me. I want it to be at a different pace. I want it to feel like overflow. I want it to come from a place of enoughness and value and honoring me. So I guess here's to being part of this journey. I think that this is part of it. Y'all are seeing me in the in-between, right? It's like, how cool is it? I mean, it is really humbling too. Humbling and just really cool to, while I am alive, get a sense of the impact that I've already made, and perhaps even my legacy, right? Like I get a glimpse of what my legacy has already been. And so now I do really want to treat the rest of it as like, I did it. Now what? Like everything else just gets to be bonus. And so that includes this, whatever this turns into. And I really appreciate y'all being here with me. So those are my thoughts for the day. Cheers. I hope y'all are well. And yeah, if you are thinking or rethinking about your value and your worth, I guess all I have to say is it is possible to not use society standards to do so. And I would, what's actually really cool too? It feels really cool to be out of that box. There is this, it's hard to, I guess I don't have the words yet. I'll have to sit with what the words would be, but whatever that feeling is of societal perceptions of womanhood or humanhood or being older, all of that, it just doesn't pertain. I'm just beyond it. I've outgrown it. Box doesn't even fit. So why even try? It's such a cool freaking place to be. It's so cool. So permission to use yourselves as your own barometer, permission to just see, as a kid or as a teenager, or as a 20-year-old or as a 58-year-old, what matters to you. Have you, we get to actually create our own goals and what matters to us. And we get to celebrate when we freaking reach them, because Ciel, who was 7, would be really, really proud of Ciel now. And that is a really cool position to be in. All right. Love y'all.